I don't validate.
Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about.
I don't validate excuses when you're a guy who has already fought in that weight and lesser weights.
That means nothing.
He hasn't fought big names.
Little guys, names usually aren't big. That's all.
Well, guess what?
But he fought everybody.
Well, guess what? We have one little guy whose name is starting to get big, and that's... Welcome back. Happy New Year. I hope everybody enjoyed their holidays. I go by the name of Ak.
And I'm Barak the Boxing Bully.
And it is 2026. So much to get into. We're starting the year off with a bang, Barak. I mean, look, I want to jump right into this fight. We'll talk about what's to come later on in the show. But today and right now to start, we're talking about one of the biggest fights that has been matched in the last few years. Is happening on 31st of this month. That's Teofimo Lopez versus Shakur Stevenson. Barak, if you go back, I would say 3-4 years down the line, when Shakur was at a lighter weight, Teofimo had a different trajectory. I wasn't sure that these guys were ever going to fight each other. I wasn't. If you ask me, hey, would you put money on that? I probably wouldn't have put money on it. But in the last 12 months, a lot has happened. And I have to give credit to His Excellency, Turki Al-Sheikh, because that's the real reason this fight is happening, right? I mean, let's be fair.
Yeah, absolutely. And out of the guys that we used to call the Four Kings and even the other guys who was right outside of that group, these two were the ones I thought would probably fight each other last because they actually had some level of cordialness. Like they were cordial. They were somewhat friends years ago. They sparred when they were 17. They'd be rooting for each other at fights. So I didn't think I'd see this soon. Now, I wouldn't say that this is one of the biggest fights, like you said, but I would say it's one of the most
that's why I said
important fights.
No, that's why I said biggest matchups. When I say big, I don't mean commercial big. I mean, for fight fans, this is a huge matchup because these are guys, it doesn't happen often where they're in their prime. They're, as far as skills, they're amongst the best in the sport, and They're fighting each other. That's big.
It's definitely big. It's definitely like, you always bring up Trinidad versus De La Hoya, because they were in their prime. Well, these guys are in their prime, and they're both on the pound for pound list currently. It really doesn't get no better than that. And if you think about it, we've been seeing that lately. Yeah, we've been seeing that lately. We've seen that with Crawford and Canelo, and we're seeing it again. And this is just one of the best eras in boxing, and people are just not realizing it.
Yeah, I mean, some people are, and we are, and it happened with Crawford and Spence as well. Both guys on a pound-for-pound list, and these are guys that were in their prime at the welterweight division. Now, that fight didn't turn out the way many expected in terms of, competitiveness, but that's because Crawford showed and eventually showed how great he is, like how he separated himself from so many fighters. And look, That's not to say that Spence won't come back and win some big fights, because I still think there's a lot of talent there. But to your point, fights are happening.
Better BF Bivol, we're getting these great fights.
Yeah, and I think it's going to start a trend. I believe that we're going to continue to get big fights because, for one, there's obviously a pot there. There's money to be made. Boxing is getting consumed by so many fans. Look, I don't know if you guys realize because this digital era exists, more people are consuming boxing content, and not even necessarily just fights. I'm just talking
illegally.
No, I'm not talking about fights only. I'm just talking about fighters doing interviews and clips, short clips on Instagram, going viral on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. So these fighters are creating more notoriety, and other media outlets outside of boxing media want to get involved and want to talk to these young fighters and these young athletes. So I think boxing is thriving. I know it's thriving right now. So I'm excited for 2026. I think we're going to level up as a whole, as a boxing community, and be more an inch closer towards mainstream because, Barak, we have to compete with so much in this country, specifically with the NBA, with the NFL, with the NHL, with the MLB. These are huge sports that are consumed, that are on all networks. So I think we're going to get closer to that.
What we're seeing is a lot of platforms willing to cover boxing, and that's what's going to make it more popular, and also polarizing figures. We definitely need that. But with all of these outlets, like you said, outlets outside of boxing, and then with YouTube, everybody can create a platform. So this is why boxing is being spoken about so much these past couple of years.
And before we get into a couple other fights that are actually happening this year, I just want to touch on this specific fight, right? We know that Shakur is very passionate about the sport. He's a kid that has always wanted to be considered the best in the sport. From the amateurs till now, he wants to be pound for pound top dog. He wants to be on Mount Rushmore, so on and so forth. Teofimo, I feel that he's had that passion, right? But he's had lapses to the, at times where he thought about even quote unquote retired and said he was done with this game. He's had, sometimes, at times issues with his father that, they've been able to reconcile and move on, but kind of lost some passion for the sport because of the way he was treated. Now, I don't know if that helps you because it creates this chip on your shoulder as a fighter to keep continuing to prove the world wrong that you are one of the best, or if it psychologically affects you against a guy like Shakur.
Yeah, I think a guy like, when you go against a guy like Shakur reminds me of Bud Crawford. You can't have those lapses. You can't have that kind of mindset. And I think, Teo's been very vocal about the things that he struggled with. And, he was going through a divorce and all of these things were making it really, really hard for him to focus on his first love. But that's the thing. Recently, he said he came back to his first love. He remembers that this is what got him everything he has. And he's back in love with boxing. And that's what we've been wanting to hear. And when we see a Teo like that, he's sharp against Josh Taylor. When we see a Teo like that, he's sharp against Lomachenko and also willing to fight all these guys. Now think about this. I know we call big, heavy punches the boogeyman, but usually the boogeyman is the guy that's hard to beat. And Shakur, nobody really wanted to fight him. And once again, Teofimo Lopez is fighting a dangerous fighter.
And you know what else I want to point out, Barak, regarding this fight, which will allow me to transition to another fight. Remember all of those camps and rounds and hours in the gym that Shakur spent with one of the greatest of all time, Terrence Crawford, which was his big brother, so to speak. But there's a competitive nature in the gym that pushes both guys to be great. And I think now Shakur still has that, not in a big brotherly type of vibe, but with Keyshawn Davis, those guys are close. And guess what? Keyshawn Davis is back in the ring on the same card against Jermaine Ortiz, a guy that has fought Teofimo Lopez. So now you got that type of energy in the gym where these guys are pushing each other to be great. That camaraderie and that type of brotherly love in the gym, I feel that elevates you.
Oh, 100%. That elevates you. I mean, think about this, bro. Sparring is hard to get, especially when you got a lot of people in your weight classes that really want to take your crown. It's hard to get sparring. Guys ain't going to your camp. They don't want to see, they don't want you to see what they're working on. So when you got another top level, undefeated champion in your mix, sharpening you up, it doesn't get no better than that. And it just so happens that, Terrence Crawford might have retired recently, but he's one of those guys that are still come to the gym. He's one of those guys that in Shakur's camp, he pops up and he spars him, whether he's in shape or not. That's the kind of guy he is. So when you have that level of sparring, oh my God, like
in other words, Barak, guys that are at the gym, if Buzz shows up just because he retired, don't think it's sweet. Don't get comfortable. He might put the headgear and gloves on and put paws on you.
No, there's no might. There's no might. He definitely will, and that's what he does. But this is the thing, though. This fight right here, like we was naming a bunch of fights earlier, this fight is, I know it's not 50-50. I think people are leaning towards the bettors. When I say the people, I mean the bettors are leaning towards Shakur Stevenson. But if you think about it, if you look at all of the comments that you see on social media and stuff like that, I think it's kind of almost evenly divided. Teofimo Lopez has proven already to be special with his career right now. I believe he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's already a lineal champion in two divisions. He already beat two guys who are probably going to be Hall of Famers, so he is and was that guy. And he's still young. He's actually a couple of months younger than Shakur. He's still sharp. He's undefeated against southpaws, but now he's fighting the southpaw of all southpaws.
And of course, and not only that, and this speaks to why Shakur is such a cerebral fighter. He knows that. And even his boy, Keyshawn, has said it, like, we know what we up against. Shakur knows how good Teofimo is. Like, there's this level of wisdom that these young fighters have. Of course he's confident. Of course he's going to say, I'm the best. I'm going to beat Teofimo. But that doesn't mean he's not in the lab studying and working on everything and watching, because he's a smart fighter. So both guys know what they're up against. And I love the fact that Keyshawn Davis, Barak, people are trying to throw out there and fish on him and Shakur eventually fighting because they're in the same weight class. And he put that to bed, clearly saying on Inside Boxing that, hey, look, I want to take over the welterweight division, all right? So, and we know that Shakur, yes, he talked about fighting Conor Bennett, so on and so forth, but he'll tell you himself, listen, I'm not even a 140-pounder. I go back down to 135. So for those that are trying to throw that out there, that fight's not going to happen. And if it ever did, it would probably be down the line at welterweight when there's $50 million on the line. But other than that, those guys are not going to fight each other, but there's always a price. But right now they're showing brotherly love. Hey, I'm moving up to 147. Stop asking about me and Shakur fighting, because it ain't going to happen. I respect that.
Yeah, I definitely respect that as well. And maybe towards the end of their career, when the dollar signs are big and these guys are like 35 years old, maybe then, but who cares? I think there's always a new guy coming up. There's always somebody to fight. And I do think that Jermaine Ortiz is a good test for Keyshawn Davis. Keyshawn Davis, I believe he's proven to be special. He's proven to be very powerful. And I like that seems like he's been seeking God for years, right? But within that seeking God, he's still somebody that seems like he'll crash out. You know what I'm saying? He'll crash out on you. He'll disrespect you. Fernando Vargas and his sons, and you're disrespecting a great like Fernando Vargas because you have no chill. You have no filter. You're angry. You bring that into the ring. But now it seems like he's getting closer to God, a little bit more calm. And I think that's going to serve him well in the ring, because he's going to always have that eye of the tiger, but being more calm in the ring only means he's more dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, I think now he's going to save his crash outs for inside the ring and and really punish his fighters. But, you say a test and Jermaine Ortiz, like, first of all, I want to give credit to Keyshawn and his team for coming back with that level of opponent right away.
Absolutely.
I mean, because
right.
You talk about a top guy, you talk about a guy that went neck and neck with Lomachenko. I mean, that fight was a very close fight. There were even people out there saying that they thought he won that fight. We all saw Teofimo Lopez versus Jermaine Ortiz. You're talking about a guy that fights elite fighters and gives them fits and sometimes hard to score. So Keyshawn is going in there against a guy who could potentially beat him, who can potentially make him look bad, right? Meaning Keyshawn is a guy that wants to be great and he wants to be tested and he's not scared to fight anyone. So I love this comeback fight for Keyshawn. Now let's go to really quick touch on Ortiz, Barak. Been at the big stage a couple times, right? Didn't get the nod. Now he's getting another huge opportunity on a big card. We might see the best version of Ortiz.
I mean, I think we always see the best version of Ortiz. There's obviously things he could have did better. In that fight against Teofimo Lopez, he was going backwards a lot, even though it was beautiful. I'm talking about beautiful defense, beautiful counterpunching. He made Teo come to him. I think those judges did not want to see that kind of style, not in Vegas. But a fighter who makes close fights with great fighters obviously is great. So like you said, this is a good test for both of them actually. But yeah, Keyshawn really picked a killer in there.
And here's an opportunity that Keyshawn has. We saw what he's been able to do in the ring. Look, he picked up a world title with a left hook to the body, ended the fight with a body shot knockout. He's a guy that wants to hurt you, wants to stop you, fan-friendly fighter. He's already has a major following in his hometown of Virginia. People come out for him. If he can hurt a guy like Ortiz, right, a guy that is elusive, hard to hit, has given top-level fighters fits, I think that would be a hell of a statement.
Never been stopped.
Never been stopped. And I think that's what the type of that's what the type of finish that Keyshawn Davis is going for this one, Barak. I think he has an opportunity not only to beat a credible threat, but to do it in a fashion that nobody else has done it amongst his peers.
Yeah, and I believe that's what he always goes for anyway. I really believe that Keyshawn goes for the knockout in every fight. He'll stand there and trade with you. He has no problem counterpunching. He has no problem walking you down. And even if you want to pressure him, he'll counterpunch you. I think Ortiz is going to come at his best. His defense is going to be spectacular. And I want to see how Keyshawn handles the defense of Jermaine Ortiz, which I thought was superb against Teofimo Lopez.
That's why I love this matchup. That's why I think this fight is going to be so good, because I don't see, when I think about Keyshawn's resume, I think he has a hell of a resume. I don't think he's fought a guy that's that defensive, that's that elusive.
No, and the only wild card maybe is that Jermaine Ortiz has been fighting at 140 pounds for about 3 years, going on 4 years. But if you look at Keyshawn, he looked like he was 140 pounds many years ago. You know, he's a big guy. He's the kind of guy that could probably go up to 147 pounds.
Yeah, maybe eventually 154 later on in his career. So, and he's already said that. He's already putting that out there. I want to fight. I want to conquer the 147-pound division. So I guess we'll see if he looks strong at 140 and really dominates. Then that'll make people more confident in him moving up to 147, which leads me to a guy that was fighting at 135. I don't know how the hell he was making that. And that's Ryan Garcia. This guy is 5'10". He has length. He's muscular. So he moved up to 149. He's fighting at 147. Ryan Garcia is fighting for a world title against Mario Barrios. Barak, you know, I love this matchup. You know why? Because Tank Davis, his adversary, was able to stop Barrios at 140 pounds years ago. And it's safe to say that maybe Barrios is drained at that weight. Maybe 140 was tough for him to make because he's a huge guy, you know, for that weight class. So I like this fight for Ryan Garcia.
Oh, for the comparison, you mean?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I just like to see if he can maybe have a spectacular win over Barrios, you know, to compare that to. You know, they're always going to be attached to each other, Ryan Garcia and Gervonta Davis. But I think Ryan has a lot to prove considering his last fight against Rolly, which he was a heavy favorite at. And it wasn't that he got outboxed. People might say that. I feel like he was more, for some reason, gun shy, not pulling the trigger, not actually using his attributes, you know, against a guy like Rolly. I think he's a better fighter, right? But he didn't get the nod. So I think there's pressure on this fight.
I do agree to some extent that, yeah, he's better than what he looked, but that translates into getting outboxed. You know what I mean? And he shouldn't have, in our opinion, he shouldn't have got outboxed by Rolly, but he did, you know, and it was all something going on in his mind. And that's the thing. Sometimes fighters lie and they say, oh, you know, I'm feeling great. I'm back 100%. Camp was wonderful, you know, and then they don't give the greatest performance. And then you find out something was really going on, you know, and if that's past him, we already know Ryan Garcia is dangerous, first of all. But 100% Ryan Garcia is very, very dangerous. The only thing is that I don't know who's training him. Like, I don't know who his trainer
He's been training in a living room for the last month.
That's what I was about to say. He's been training because I put that in our chat. Like, he's training in the living room, but he's also that kind of guy that would be training somewhere else, but showing you that so that you can sleep, because he's a master troll. He's a master online. So I don't know. I don't know who he's working with. You know, and the only videos we see, him in his living room doing pads. Does that mean he's not training somewhere hard body? Of course not. But he's sending that out for a reason. He's sending that look out for a reason, and I don't know.
I mean, everybody has seen those videos. They're viral that he's been training in some sort of living room, so it's not a secret, but he's only letting you see what he wants you to see because he's in control of his social media. So you might be right. Maybe there's some secret or some method to this madness. But about this fight, and I don't want to discredit Barrios, but Ryan Garcia is known to be a guy who has power, like zipping speed, right? He can hurt you. If he can hurt a guy like Barrios, who's very hard to hurt, especially as of late at 147, to make a statement and say, hey, I'm a strong, hard-hitting welterweight, maybe that conversation again about him fighting maybe a Boots Ennis eventually, or fighting a Conor Ben, those type of big fights, because he can compete in terms of power. Because right now he has a lot to prove. Like, he did so much against Haney, and then what he did in Times Square has a lot of people questioning it. But that's great, because that leaves an opportunity to prove people wrong. That gives you motivation, and maybe we'll see another spectacular performance like we did at the Barclays Center.
What's up, guys? It's Barak the Boxing Bully, and we got some heat coming your way. Fights you just don't want to miss. Jumping on all the action with our partners, DraftKings.
My brother Barak, finally. Once upon a time, we dreamed of these fights, or one of these fights that would actually happen, and guess what? We're getting it January 31st.
People look at Shakur, 3-division champ. Now he's trying to be 4-division, and they say, oh, you look great, but who have you fought yet? And then you got Teo, who fought Loma, got to fight Josh Taylor, beat these guys, pretty sure he believes that this is his biggest test. I can't believe this fight is happening. This is the best of the best. Whoever wins this fight, I don't know what number they're going to be on the pound for pound list, but they're going to be pretty high.
This fight, for those that don't know, is one of the biggest matchups in the last 20 years in boxing, period. You do not want to miss these incredible fights. Make sure you check all that DraftKings has to offer. Use the promo code ATS Fights. The crown is yours.
DraftKings has something for every sports fan in the world. Have some fun and check out what our partners DraftKings has to offer via the app or the website. Get in on all the action.
Go download the DraftKings app right now. And new customers, use the promo code ATS Fights to level up your fight night experience. Mario Barrios, when I think about his pace in a fight, right?
Yeah.
His style. Is this a fight that he can actually win fighting at 100% Ryan Garcia?
I think he can. But it depends on his power at 147. I think that his power is generated from speed, and you don't see it coming, so you could probably rock anybody and knock anybody out. I do think that Barrios is very well tested. I think he's very, very durable, and I think he has a little momentum coming in here, and he's the champion. He's the champion. He wants to prove. Now, this is his second probably most high-profile fight, because he also fought Tank as well. And I think that means a lot to him. So he's going to be very, very prepared. We know he's always focused, but Ryan Garcia is tricky. He's crafty. He can lull you to sleep, kind of like he said he did Devin Haney, like lull you to sleep a little bit, and then all of a sudden hit you with that left hook. Now, he also has a little right hand, but we barely see that right hand. We need to see a Ryan Garcia coming with both arsenals in order to fight somebody as durable and as big as Mario Barrios. Now, when Ryan used to talk about, I want to fight Ennis and guys like that, I thought he was just talking, but I didn't realize how big he really was. It looked like he got wider, like this young man was still growing. So I think he can probably go up, but I don't want to rush that. That's 154 pounds. Right. He hasn't even fought 147, really.
No doubt, but he's looking for those massive fights, right? That's the type of fighter he is. And history has shown us with Ryan Garcia that, after some adversity, he comes back and looks spectacular, right? He did it against Haney. Remember, going into that fight, Barak, a lot of people said he was going to get outboxed. Devin's too skilled, too much for him. You and I were in the dressing room with him that day. I remember the zone that he was in. That's Ryan Garcia. Was crazy. It was deep. It was surreal. It was eerie. And obviously he came out and showed the world something special. So, after this tough loss in Times Square, maybe we get that type of energy from Ryan Garcia again in this fight that's happening in about a month and a half or so, February 21st. The venue has yet to be determined.
Here's a question. If you walked into a stash house full of $20 million, how much would you steal?
That's the question Matt Damon and Ben Affleck have to answer in Netflix's new movie, The Rip. They play a team of Miami cops alongside Tiana Taylor, Steven Yeun, Catalina Sandino Moreno, Kyle Chandler, and Sasha Calle, all trying to decide, are they the good guys or the bad guys?
This movie is an edge-of-your-seat thrill ride the entire time,
keeping you guessing till the very end.
Don't miss The Rip, only on Netflix on January 16th.
I want to move on, Barak, to another big fight. Look, she recently signed an $8 million deal, right? And has arguably been the best female fighter in the last I don't know how long Barak has been.
Since she started.
So a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. Multi-division world champion. Has tons of belts. Claressa Shields fighting the same woman that she fought, her friend, on her pro debut. They're rematching, who also went on to become world champion, undisputed champion, and so on and so forth. Franchon Cruz. I like this matchup because unfortunately, I like friends to fight each other, right? I know that sounds crazy.
This guy, what?
but
you were just talking about Shakur and Keyshawn. Oh, well, I'm okay with that.
No, I respect it. It doesn't mean I don't want them to fight each other, right? But I mean in the ring. I never want friends to fight outside of the ring. Disclaimer, never fight outside of the ring unless there's a lot of money at stake. So, look, there's no secret, Barak. Claressa has struggled with having that big dancing partner, right? That arch nemesis. She's had a few, in Savannah Marshall.
Christina Hammer. No, right. What it is that she has the names in the moment, but then when you outclass them, it's like you're not it's not a real rival. You got beat.
But that's what I mean. When I say rival, Barak, I'm talking about Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor type of rival.
Yes,
all right.
I got you.
I got you. Here's an opportunity for her maybe to beat Franchon better than she did the first time. But it's a great opportunity for Franchon because she knows her, familiar with her. Claressa's pro debut was a tough fight. She went up against Franchon Cruz. So I like the opportunity for Franchon. I think Claressa has a lot of momentum. She just signed this new deal. We're going to get a great version of her. And she's going into this fight as a heavy favorite.
Yeah, I think Franchon, I don't even want to bring up that fight because that wasn't the Franchon that I see now. I don't think she was even ready for that fight. I think that was an opportunity. She took it and that's it. And they've been friends ever since. But I do see a little bit online now where maybe they got a couple of little sly words towards each other, especially Franchon towards Claressa. She even got upset at one of our posts because our editors must have made it look like, I don't know, they had a picture of Claressa punching her and she was thinking like, we're picking favorites or whatever. Meanwhile, we love all of these fighters. But, another thing, this is another example of how great boxing is because Claressa is one of the best fighters of all time, probably the best female fighter of all time. But during this era, they was always also saying Katie Taylor's number one at one point. Amanda's number one at one point. So they was flip-flopping between at least Claressa Shields and Katie Taylor, showing you that we got some really great fighters. Now, if you look at Franchon, I think she's scary. I think she's one of the toughest women I've ever seen. Now, Claressa, hands down, is tough. She wants to fight men. We get it. She's a monster. She's the beast. She's probably the most dominant female fighter of all time. But Franchon doesn't ever appear scared of anything. And she was that mother figure that all of the amateurs looked up to years ago. She's tough, man, and she never backs down from a fight. And I think that this Franchon, now that we've seen, that captured the belts at 168, that beat Shadeja Green, is way different than that fighter that lost to Claressa Shields in their pro debut.
Well, we'll get those questions answered in the Detroit, Michigan, in the state, Claressa's home state, on the 22nd of February. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's talk about
that should be a sellout.
Yeah, definitely.
That should be a sellout. They need to respect those two fighters.
Let's talk about some matchups that happened in 2026. None of them official yet, but there's talks. And I want to jump right into Roach wants that get back with Tank. We don't know what Tank's agenda is moving forward. People are saying he wants to retire. We know that Lamont just had a close fight with Pitbull where a lot of people felt he won the fight. I myself felt that he did enough to pull that off. So that's a matchup that would love to see, right? But
I want to see that only because there was no closure. It was a draw, and sometimes you might not want to see a fight again when it's a draw, hardly ever. But because of that knee, it was controversial. So yeah, I would love to see that again. It only makes sense. It's almost like Roach deserves that shot, with a guy like that. But a fight that I'd love to see, another fight that I'd love to see, that's a fight I want to see. It's not a championship fight, but I just feel like it's due. And that's Caleb Plant versus Jamal Charlo. The beef that they had outside the ring, you know what I mean? Just, it needs to be settled. And we need to settle it like men the right way inside that ring, mano a mano. Oh, my God. Tell me that's not a good fight.
Man, listen, Caleb is shown to be, honestly, one of the toughest guys in the sport. He's been in there with killers, and he will fight to the end no matter what. I love Caleb, love his approach, but I think the bad energy in the history is what's making this fight super interesting. I love to see it, but a fight that
a battle of the jabs, I think it'll be.
No doubt, but a fight that's even more exciting to me, Barak, in terms of the matchup is Ennis against Ortiz. Jerron versus Virgil. These two guys at 154 is explosive, dynamite, fireworks. Like, that's the type of fight that you can't miss. You can't leave your seat. You can't be playing around with it. I'm going to the bathroom type thing. Not because you're going to see a knockout, because you're going to see action throughout the whole fight. You're going to miss
somebody's getting knocked out.
Maybe, but I'm saying before somebody gets knocked out, believe you me, there's going to be some leather flying in that. God. Whether it's Jerron, whether it's Ortiz, they're gonna land some big shots. I mean,
neither one of those men like to back down. No, imagine seeing one of them back down. I can't even fathom it. Really, I really can't fathom it. Really.
I'll argue and say that might be one of the biggest fights in 2026 in terms of fight of the year candidate. That's it.
It is the fight I'm most excited about. Like I do. Another one I like is Benavidez. I would love for him to fight Ja Apatai. But
oh my God! Wait! Hold up!
I threw that out there like nothing, right? I know I threw that out there.
Slow down. He's into that.
Ortiz versus Ennis is probably the most. I'm most excited about that fight.
Now, go ahead. I'll give you the stage. Ease into that fight again, bro.
I'm gonna ease into that one. Listen, this is the thing. Benavidez, longtime boogeyman, 168 pounds, went up to 175, caught a strap there. This monster is going up to 200. He's about to fight Ramirez. Now, I'm not going to sit up here and say that Ramirez is a walkover, but we're talking about names here.
Levels.
Benavidez, I'd love to see him fight Ja Apatai. I'd love to see that.
That matchup.
Two men, same size.
Only thing I think
crazy ability, both of them.
Blood,
crazy power. Oh my God.
Blood. Shaky legs. Yes. There's so many things I see happen in that fight. That's another fight that maybe the casual fan might not know. Look, Jai is a monster. Like, and his left hand is explosive. So if anybody can hurt David Benavidez, trust me, it's this guy.
And he's a big guy. Now, it's going to be a good test against Ramirez. Ramirez is not like a long time 200-pound fighter, but he's still a very crafty, skillful fighter, and he's just a big guy.
I'm going to be honest with Barak. It's 2026. I'm not playing around with him anymore. I'm not joking.
What I'm saying is that
I know what you're saying.
I need somebody to get Benavidez ready. If he's really able to beat Ramirez, he will beat Ramirez. A long-standing 200-pound fighter. That's what I'm saying.
He will beat Ramirez. Hands are too fast, too tricky, too crafty. He's too busy. Downstairs, upstairs, downstairs, upstairs. David Benavidez is just too good of a fighter.
Combinations. What's wrong with him?
And this is not to discredit Ramirez, who's a real champion. He's a guy that has been a champion in different divisions. He's a big guy. Just a little, I don't want to say too short. I mean, it's short. He's coming up short against a guy like Benavidez in terms of speed, skill, all of those things. He won't beat Benavidez. David Benavidez will win that fight big. Trust me, I'm saying it now. He'll win that fight massive, which will make the Jai fight even bigger.
I mean, maybe we'll see a different side of Ramirez because, even Benavidez says that their sparring sessions were like, pay-per-view sparring sessions. Like they were banging. Now, I do understand that Ramirez probably has more wear and tear on him and he's older. So everyone's going to lead towards Benavidez, but I still think it's a good fight.
I'm going to start calling it like I see it. I'm not going to be politically correct anymore. I'm going to be respectful, but I'm going to say there's no way Ramirez is beating David Benavidez, and I'm saying it flat out. And I'm not saying it to not tune in. Anything can happen in that fight, but this is what's going to happen.
I mean, everybody's going to be leaning that way, so that's not nothing.
No, I'm saying it's not going to be competitive. It won't be competitive.
Damn, not even competitive?
No, not at all. Not at all. In no round.
He's going to get blown out in the first round?
He's just going to get either blown out of the first round or washed every single round. All right. So let's lastly talk about one of the best fighters in the world, has proven it time in and time out in different divisions, smaller divisions, and that's Inoue. And people want to see the Nakatani fight. But Barak,
I know,
I've been saying
but
it.
let's not fast forward though.
No, I want to
what makes sense right now?
I want to see ahead. Can I see ahead? Can I peek like this and see ahead? I want to see Inoue versus Bam Rodriguez. I know they're not the same weight class.
Would it be fair right now for them to just meet now?
No, politically,
being that they're so far apart in weight.
No, they're not that far apart. I mean, I don't know if he goes up to 118 pounds, that's Jesse Bam Rodriguez, who there's no competition for him at 115. It's too easy. He literally,
you can't ask a champ. You can't ask a 2-division undefeated.
Why not?
You can't ask him to come down.
You can when it's a big fight. When it's a big money fight, you can. Absolutely.
Not when you're the undisputed champion.
No, it doesn't.
Divisions.
When there's no other name for you in that weight class, when there's no other huge name, where there's nothing else to prove. Hold up.
He's going to keep going up.
He's special. He ain't going to go up to 135.
No, there's 126. What are you skipping all these divisions for?
Who's at 126? Who's a bigger name? Who's a bigger name at 126?
No, bigger name. No bigger name. No bigger name.
It's over for the belts in terms of
accomplishments.
No, when it comes to Inoue, we seen all the belts, buddy. You're undisputed in tons of weight classes. I
agree. I agree.
Now
but I'm saying,
names.
Is that fair to ask the guy who's on the top? Is that fair?
Yes. When you're giving him
Bam is there too, but Inoue is on the top. I think he's the best fighter in the world right now. Now that Bud just retired, I think he's the best fighter in the world.
Maybe
you can't ask that man to lose weight.
Of course you can, because this is prize fighting, bro. This is prize fighting. Now nobody cares, and nobody's going to give you nobody's going to give Inoue $20 million, $15 million to fight those guys at 126. Yes, Nakatani's a great fight. It's a matchup we all want to see. I don't think he beats Inoue.
I don't think you want to see it. I don't think you want to see Nakatani versus Inoue. I really don't think
if you gave me an option, I would say, hell, give him more money to go down to 118 to fight Bam Rodriguez. Give Bam more money. That's the matchup and the name we want to see.
The reason why I don't like it.
Let me ask you a question.
Go ahead.
If those guys went to 118 with no belts on the line, would it diminish the size of that fight and that matchup?
No, but I'm going to answer the question. I mean, you ain't going to let me, but I'm going to answer it. The size of the fight? No, but it gives a built-in excuse, and I don't like that. What I'm saying is, let Rodriguez build him. They both young. Let Rodriguez build himself up to 122, and then there's no excuses. I don't like a built-in excuse there. I mean, that's all.
People, Barak, we've been in this game long enough to know that their excuses are going to be made no matter what. If everything is perfect, somebody's going to create an excuse.
Yeah, but some excuses aren't valid. Some excuses aren't valid. And I'm okay if people make those kind of excuses, because I can brush those off shut up, you don't know what you're talking about.
I don't validate excuses when you're a guy like Inoue who has already fought in that weight and lesser weights. And if
that means nothing.
Hold on.
That's like telling Crawford, go back down to 147 so you can fight Ennis. He's like, hell no.
No, that's not the same.
154.
That's not the same.
I don't fought 168.
That's not the same. We're asking him to come down one weight class, bro. He's at 122. We're asking him to come down one. That's not 3. You just came from 118, bro. And Bam still has to go up as well. He's fighting a bigger guy. I think equally.
Could Terrence ask Canelo to come down to 160? No,
that's different. Canelo has already fought the biggest names in the sport. Has already proven enough.
Inoue beat everybody,
but he's not fought a big name. He hasn't fought big names.
Just because the little guys' names usually aren't big. That's all.
Well, guess what?
But he fought everybody.
Well, guess what? We have one little guy whose name is starting to get big, and that's Jesse Bam Rodriguez. And not only is his name getting big, he does the talking in the ring. In my opinion, he's one of the best fighters in the world. He's obviously on the list, but he's my favorite fighter today. You know, amongst him, Shakur, a lot of guys I love, but I love the way he finishes. He takes his time. I don't think anybody's going to pose a threat to Inoue but Bam Rodriguez. I don't think either guy.
I agree. I think they're both super special and nobody can beat them. But think about this. If 147 and 140 is 7 pounds different, that's just one weight class. That's the same thing as Bam Rodriguez going from 115 to 122.
But there's
7 pounds. So because there's a weight class in between, it's still 7 pounds. So we can give him time like all of these other guys that went up.
Listen, just like you said, there's a weight class in between. That means that Inoue only has to drop 4 pounds. He only has to come down 4 pounds. And for the sake of money, for the sake of legacy, in terms of you having somebody that's on the pound for pound list, how many pound for pound fighters has Inoue beat that are top 5 pound for pound?
No, we're talking about the lower divisions,
answer the
man.
Question,
we're talking about the lower divisions.
Answer the question.
Probably
none.
Zero.
Not even in the top 10, Barak. Not even in the top 10.
That's okay. So what? We're still talking about weight difference. That doesn't hold any weight. We're still talking about weight difference, and you would rather ask, and you know this in boxing, you would rather ask a fighter to move up than a fighter to move down, right?
And you would rather, unless there's a huge pot of money, and we tell one guy, hey,
then he has to decide. Inoue has to decide.
We got $20 million for you.
But look how long he's been at 122 now. He's probably in his mind ready to move up to 126.
I guess we'll see. Maybe we'll pump him up enough. Maybe I'll amp him up enough, and maybe Turkey or bring out the checkbook and say, yo, this fight needs to happen. Hopefully,
money could just solve everything.
Not everything, but a lot. But a lot.
Basically, it can.
Almost. Listen, look, I just want to touch on this year, Barak. 2025 has been a very pivotal year for you and I in our careers. A lot has happened. I mean, there's so much that we've done, the Zone, OTX, but joining the ATS family, All the Smoke family, All the Smoke Fight, All the Smoke Boxing, been a very pivotal moment in launching Ring Champs early last year. I was excited when we first did it. Every moment, every episode made me more excited, more enthused, and so ready for the future. And here we are at 2026 already with so many big names lined up, so many big guests, studio, traveling to different states, sitting down with the biggest names of the sport, and maybe beyond boxers. I want to sit down with everybody that loves this sport. I just wanted to reflect on this year and how impactful it has been for us and the new family that we've gained and everybody involved at All the Smoke Fight.
Well said. We're 11 months in on Ring Champs. January 28th, my birthday makes 1 year. And it's just been a beautiful ride. 20 million views deep in 11 months. And we're literally working for ourselves with an amazing team beside us. And that's All the Smoke Fight. I mean, I can't say enough about this team that really shares the same vision, the same passion, the same love for the sport, and want to really just make great content. And by the way, we got some of the best editors in the business, man. Like
some of the best.
I sit down and watch it like I wasn't there. Like seriously, seriously.
We got an amazing team in general, and I want to take the time just to shout everybody out: Matt, Stack, Brian Daly, our producer Rich, and Ward, who
you were supposed to say Rich for last, man. You know what I'm saying? Rich is in the trenches with us every single day.
Of course, look, SOG for welcoming us with open arms as well. Who's done a phenomenal job. Roy Jones Jr. I'm talking guys behind the scenes like
Christina,
Connor,
Gabby,
Nick,
everybody,
all those guys. Amazing team. And when you walk into a new situation, you always have your questions. And then when you find out, wow, there's no better home, and I like what we're gonna accomplish in this place, I'm more motivated than ever, Barak. I'm ready to go. 2026 is here, bro.
Amen, brother. Let's do it.
Peace and love. Stay safe. See you next time.